So one thing that we didn't quite get around to this past week just yet in regards to Modern Warfare 2's Season 5 Reloaded update was the talk about one thing that's inevitable with all updates in the COD franchise, it seems: stealth changes. Changes to the game with Season 5 Reloaded and Modern Warfare 2 that weren't mentioned in the patch notes, and therefore you may not have caught them yourself. Today we're going to be running down a short list of them here that you may have noticed, or maybe not, but are still important to know to round out the coverage of Season 5 Reloaded and the most recent Modern Warfare 2 update. And honestly, hey, props to where needed, because for this, for the first time in a long time, we don't have a massive list of things to cover here with this. So as we go along, drop your thoughts down below. What do you think of these changes? Good, bad, impartial? Whatever the case, feel free to let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, you can find it at all insightful. Do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 here upcoming, and other games like X-Defiant and more in the future. I'd love to have you in the community. And finally, make sure to check out my friends over at G Fuel for 30% off certain items in the month of September, but more on that a little later. For now, let's jump into the stealth changes with Season 5 Reloaded's update for Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone. So the first one is a more minor change, but sequentially, it's probably one of the first things that you'd notice jumping into this. There's now new animations entering each sector of the game: multiplayer, Warzone, DMZ, and such. New, like, 5-second transition animations from the main COD HQ menu to the subsidiary game modes that you'd end up encountering. If I'm honest, it probably doesn't do anything to the overall load times, since there was always that awkward little fade loading screen into what would be, again, multiplayer, DMZ, or Warzone, and sometimes it would get hung up and take a little longer than others. That's probably just like what this is covering over top of, so it's not that awkward fade. But I will say that was one of the first things that I noticed here with this, and with how many things that at the launch of the update were kind of broken, it was one of those frustrating things where it's like, well, you prioritized an animation that will only clutter up the current UI and menu system, but I couldn't log on for the first 3 hours after the update. So it was definitely frustrating in the moment, but it is what it is. It's a new animation that ultimately doesn't change anything about the gameplay systems, how you interact with the game. It's just kind of there, and a change that you should know about at least. But anyways, secondly, the M13C finally has an unlock challenge associated with it. For those who didn't complete, didn't partake in, or whatever the case may be, where you didn't get the M13C out of the reveal event for Modern Warfare 3, there was no weapon challenge to unlock the M13C. There was a way that you could end up buying the blueprint for it associated with the digital versions of pre-purchasing the game, and you could end up getting somebody to go into DMZ with you that had it unlocked, dropping it for you, and then you'd exfil with that weapon to unlock it organically in that regard. But that was the only way up until last week's update. Now you have, just like every other weapon in the game post initial launch period, like those weapons that are in a, say, battle pass that the next season they're introduced, a weapon challenge associated with the weapon to unlock it organically without any sort of workaround or pay to access bundle, again, like DMZ or buying the Modern Warfare 3 digital version right out front. For this, the challenge is only to get 35 hipfire operator kills while using assault rifles. Very easy to manage, very easy to do, especially with shipment 24/7 around. You can kind of knock those all out in 1 to 2 games if you're going exclusively for those kind of kills and getting an AR out for hipfire accuracy. But anyways, you can breeze through this now and unlock it if you didn't get it in the initial reveal event. Myself, I didn't do it, so I now have the option to unlock it organically without having to go into DMZ or, again, pay for that digital version of the game right out front. Next, talking a little about weaponry, but more so talking about camos, we of course saw some new camos introduced with each of the new weapons introduced with the mid-season update, and we also ended up seeing the new event camo challenges as well. But the cool part here of this is a sort of air quote first for weapon camos is that the Eddie Supreme and the Good Night Vibes camos actually glow in the dark if you were to go into a nighttime version of the map. If you want to go into black gold and check it out, you can see that they are weapons that do glow in the dark with those camos associated with it. So a fun little detail here with this that doesn't really change too much unless you're playing a nighttime map where it might give your position away, but anyways, cool to see no less. Talking camos though, we did see under the radar added was that serpentine camo. And we dedicated a whole video talking about the absurdity of this challenge here with this, but it's a new mastery camo for DMZ essentially, tasking you with going in and getting things from every single infill location in DMZ minus building 21, likely just because that's only available on the weekends, but you have to go across Ashika Island, you have to go across Vondel, Al Mazrah, Koshi Complex, because this is just an absurd grind when it comes to RNG elements. To end up getting this serpentine camo, it requires a barter recipe that tasks you with trading 1 chemist acid, 1 heavy chopper fuel, 1 skeleton key, and 1 black cell hand cream at the underground portable buy station in Observatory in Al Mazrah that can only be accessed if you wait for the radiation to overtake the buy station. So you have to wait those 20 minutes for each DMZ match to even have the option to barter for this, but the black cell hand cream is something that requires a barter recipe in and of itself. That requires the Bomb Maker's Blend, Bullfrog's Blowtorch, 2 calling cards from the Scavenger, and 2 bottles of vintage wine from Vondel to acquire. there. But the bomb maker's blend for that barter requires you to get the ancient gun oil, bomb maker screwdriver, a GPU, and 200,000 in cash on Ashika Island to barter for. But the ancient gun oil requires a diamond drill bit, 3 AQ laptops, chlorine, and a Damascus dog tag in Koshi Complex to get. So you see, it's this whole chain reaction of stuff that you have to take, barter for, then stow away and exfil with in a secure bag across multiple different levels of play. So the whole thing is at best like a 2 to 3 hour excursion that's pending no mismanagement of your inventory, losing anything or getting killed or getting wiped by an enemy team, nothing like that. Instead, just pure grind. So it's something that for a lot of people may not be worth it, but it is something that was added in under the radar. Now, one thing talking about multiplayer, weaponry, and all, the UAV bug may have been fixed. We're going to put an asterisk on this one because there's definitely more testing. And after not having the UAV work properly for a season and a half, 2 seasons almost, I don't quite know if I'm explicitly ready to 100% say, hey, it's fixed finally. But having played a lot of multiplayer, I didn't notice that the UAVs that I was calling in were offering that real-time sweeping effect like an advanced UAV would. It was busted in doing so the last couple of updates. Instead, it did seem to be static pings of locations, as it should be if it's not an advanced UAV. But just again, asterisk on that one, maybe. Now, talking a little bit about Warzone stuff here at this, Warzone buy stations were actually slightly reformatted. Pre-patch, the essentials for every single buy station had armor plates, armor boxes, munitions boxes, UAVs, mortar strikes, precision airstrikes, and loadout drop markers. But now, after the update, added in on top of that, a gas mask is available in the essentials as well. That being on the top line so that now it reads as follows: armor plate, gas mask, armor box, munitions box, UAV, mortar strike, precision airstrike, loadout drop marker. So this is something that may mess with your muscle memory a little bit, but honestly, I think is a better change here for just buying things quickly like a UAV. Instead of having to tab over 4 times or go left on your D-pad, you can just go straight down once every single time and you'll be able to get a UAV in a sort of quick purchase fashion. Now, talking buy stations once again, Warzone buybacks are now 3,000 only in Warzone ranked to match other game modes as well. Previously, before this update, there were still 4,000 to buy a teammate back, so definitely nice, makes regaining a little bit easier, although once you're on the ground, that's still where the real task lies because everything is usually camped out on a buy station, everything's usually looted. There's not a whole lot of second chance regain options in ranked, but that's a different story for a different day. Sniping in Warzone ranked, if you want to call it that, in lobbies was previously adjusted where it was removed actually shortly right after the update, but then reintroduced with, I want to say, like 2 less options to see who's in your actual current match. And what I mean by sniping is that you can end up actually seeing who players are in your lobbies, and it'll usually sort by the top level players first, so you can see who like the best players in the lobby are. If you were to go and say report player from your in-game menu, it would take you again through a couple that are already in your match, but then usually most of the list below that is your prior match, but it still showed enough that you got a relative idea of, oh, I'm playing with a team of top 250s. I'm playing against a team of iridescents, diamonds, platinums, and so on and so forth. So it gave you a little bit of an understanding of what kind of skill level you'd be facing perhaps in your matches, but that's something that again was just slightly adjusted with this update. Now, additional Warzone items, which honestly are things I haven't quite been able to confirm or deny, but do seem likely, is firstly, it feels like there's been a decrease in the spawn rates of durable gas masks versus an increase in the regular ones. Seemed like every crate that you'd end up getting a gas mask out of before the Season 5 Reloaded update was almost, I'd say like 8 to 9 times out of 10 was a durable gas mask. Now I'm finding the regular gas masks way more, and it's a little bit harder to find durable gas masks by comparison to pre-patch. So just know that those may have been adjusted in their spawn rates. But then also, it seems like there's been an increase to loadout drop markers in regular crates around the world. I've gotten 2 loadout drop markers for free out of regular crates since the update less than a week ago, and honestly, I don't think that I've gotten any of those pre-update since Warzone 2 launched. And admittedly, I didn't play Warzone 2 to the frequency of Warzone 1 after it launched. Like, I took almost 2 whole seasons off. When Ashika Island dropped, I played the first week of that, and then I don't think that I played again until Warzone Ranked was introduced. But still, I mean, I have days of playtime and don't recall getting a single one before this update, let alone having 2 in 1 week before. So that's something that is an interesting little maybe world anomaly. I don't know if that's meant to be the case, but it has happened since this update. Anyways, the final thing we'll talk about here is more so encompassing all of what we see across multiplayer, Warzone, and DMZ is that as of the update, and only fixed as of today, battle pass progression was actually inadvertently slowed down. So if it did seem like you were taking longer to get tiers or tokens for your battle pass, it was something that you're not crazy. That was an inadvertent change with the update. So that again was addressed in an update as of today. Whether or not that actually happened, we'll have to wait and see, but apparently on paper it has been fixed now. But anyways, that is the stealth changes that I've found here, at least within Modern Warfare 2 Season 5 Reloaded's update, and since then, so that's what we're gonna call it. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think of these changes? Good, bad, impartial, again, whatever, feel free to let me know. Before we wrap everything up though, make sure you check out my friends over at G Fuel. Code Espresso can get you 30% off certain items in the month of September, like hype sauce tubs, starter kits, hibiscus tea, MS Melon, the Ghost Gang Pac-Man flavor box, all that kind of stuff and more is 30% off with code Espresso, linked down below. Now is honestly a great time to try a restock or something for the very first time. I love that they have these starter kits for 30% off as well, because you get a shaker cup and then like 7 different flavors to try out for 15 bucks, which again, then gets you 30% off on top of that. So link in the description below if you guys want to try anything out for the very first time or grab a restock, but code Espresso helping you out there. If you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay there with all things Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, X Defiant, and more. I'd love to have you in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.